It's a non-core banger. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to purpose and practice. Ayy, yeah, purpose and practice. Keep your mental sharp, learn all the tactics. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to purpose and practice. Ayy, yeah, purpose and practice. Podcast game, ayy, he got it mastered. It's encore. It's a non-core banger. Dr. Ross.
Peace to the community. It's Purpose and Practice with your host, Dr. Rawls Dill. We are coming back. We're at episode 19. I can't believe we're at episode number 19 of the show where we bring y'all the livest guests. You know, I hate to call them ordinary people doing extraordinary things because they're not ordinary people. The folks that we bringing on, they are motivated, they are inspiring, they just got life, man. And you know, from the feedback that we're getting from the show, the community is loving the life that the guests are bringing, and I'm loving the life that the guests are bringing out. So welcome back, you know, to another episode. We're in late October. My birthday month is finally coming to like an end. I'm holding on, but it's like ending on us. And our guest tonight, who I'm going to introduce briefly, is right on time. Let me put it that way. It's been crazy out here in terms of stress, anxiety. I just pinned a blog the other day where I just kind of let loose. Like I was like, yo, it's okay to not be okay right now. And if you're feeling that way, it's time to talk. You know, it's time to find ways and avenues to let that stress, you know, to release it. And I think the more we hold that stress as prisoners, it eats us up from the inside out. So I think subconsciously, my guess, the people I've been lining up, you're going to find out in the next couple of weeks, it's been a lot of people who are about that positive energy and feeding the soul. And it's all good. Feeding the soul.
Mama, go watch.
We got Savannah in the house. Shout out to Savannah.
Say hi.
But Jelisa is definitely Jelisa Smith. Hey, Jelisa Smith is someone who is doing just that. And I want to welcome you, Jelisa. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Thank you for having me, Dr. Rawls.
It's all good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, Jelisa. Thank you for being you, because
I'm excited.
Yes, we are excited. You know, I'm excited. And we're gonna have Savannah, her daughter is gonna 3-year-old daughter is gonna be, joining the show. She'll be in and out of the show tonight. So, you know, Jelisa, if you can let me see how I want to do this. If you can start off telling the people, there you go.
Do your hair, Mama.
There you go.
Took her hair out. It was looking better earlier.
If you could start off, you know, telling the people a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do now.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Hello, Purpose and Practice audience. My name is Jelisa Smith. As you can see, I'm a mom to a 3-year-old toddler, crazy girl. I'm a wife, and pretty much what I do is I'm a fitness coach for busy moms, and I really advocate just for moms putting themselves first, taking care of themselves. Yes, taking care of themselves unapologetically. And I do that mostly through YouTube and Instagram. Here we go. She don't act up like this with her daddy, but it's fine.
It's all good. That's because, you know, dads have that power. We got that energy. We got that act right energy.
Mama, I take it from you. Give me that. It's for me.
Mm-hmm. So this is our first time having baby on the show. I'm feeling this is going to be a great episode. We never had that kind of energy, so this is going to be a good episode. Some baby spirit in here.
Multitasking mamas.
Listen, but that's the realness of this episode, because really though, when I think about the stress, when I think about multitasking and all of the things that we're dealing with, things that are on our plate right now, that's what it's like, that is what it's like. So those busy moms out there, if y'all out there, hopefully y'all listening, because y'all gonna pick up some tips tonight from our guest, Jelisa. So Jelisa, we're going to catch up to a lot of the things that you're doing now, and how you can help the audience out and the community out, specifically our moms out there who may be busy moms, but trying to stay fit and trying to stay in the right space spiritually.
Stay healthy.
That's what we need, right? But what I want to do, and we do with all of our guests, is we always go back to kind of growing up. I like to paint a full picture of folks. So if you don't mind just kind of sharing, some of your early year experiences, growing up, where you grew up, and, some of the cool things and maybe some of the challenges that you had growing up.
Okay. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a former student of Dr. Rawls. I was actually in the inaugural class. Okay. Yeah. In one of his inaugural classes. Okay. Back in the day. And it's crazy because I feel like I can't believe like that was that long ago. But so I grew up in Long Branch, New Jersey. I feel like I was super just average growing up. I felt like when I think about my childhood, what stands out most to me is I had a pretty good childhood, honestly. Mm-hmm. But like when it came to school and fitting in with other people and fitting in with kids at school and making friends, like I always kind of felt like I was not I didn't really fit in. Like I never really felt like I wasn't like a cool kid. And like you try to be cool, like you try to do the cool things. And my dad still talks about me to this day and said that because I didn't think it was cool to be smart back then. And how I remember getting made fun of for of course, my looks, my forehead is big. Like now I embrace it. But, back then I was like, oh my God, my forehead's big. I got made fun of for talking white.
Wow.
That was a thing. And I just remember just feeling like I never really quite fit in with my friend group, but they was my friends. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. And hey, A Money. I saw A Money come through.
Shout out to Anthony.
Shout out to Anthony. It was just, I think I had a typical awkward childhood upbringing. At the same time, I remember feeling like I was never quite enough. Like I was always doing something wrong, or I was stupid. I thought I was stupid a lot, actually.
Wow.
And that was something that I had to confront. Like in my adulthood, I had to confront that, like, you're not stupid. Like I had to really like work on that. It was a lot of personal development work that I have done and I continue to do. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think I had a pretty decent upbringing. Like my parents did a great job. They did the best they could. Of course, they did good.
Great people, great people.
Yeah, yes. Like I love my parents. I think that they did an awesome job. Of course, there were some things now that I'm like, I would do that differently. But we all will say that. I mean, but like, isn't that the point? Like for us to be better than
That's right.
Your parents always want you to be better than them. I mean, I want my daughter to be better than me. So there's certain things that I take from my childhood that affects the way that I parent her. So, but sometimes I gotta catch myself because sometimes it could be maybe I'm like hindering her, like where I'm coddling her too much. I don't know. So you just don't know when it comes to parenting. It's like it's all like on the job learning. Like you just learn on the job.
So true. So it's so funny that you said that. And I want to unpack some of the things that you talked about, but that piece on parenting, of doing too little or being too overprotective versus being too laissez-faire and kind of just saying, do you, and finding that balance is so hard, like do you find that, like, is that something that like you and your husband work out, or like will y'all balance, or how are you figuring that out?
It's like, it's a constant, I don't want to call it a struggle, but I guess I can, for lack of better terms, a struggle, because you have like a couple factors when it comes to parenting. You have like, you take what you've learned like through your years, And then you also are trying to
Mhm.
parent, if you know you're in a relationship, you're trying to parent with another person or co-parent.
Yes.
And you both have your own
Yes.
ideas of what it looks like to
Yes.
parent. And then it also depends on the gender of your child. Sometimes you
Mhm.
also have more ideas with that, because we know there's different risk factors and all these kind of things when it comes to
Yes.
male, female. And now we have gender neutral things. So it's all, I don't even know all the terms anymore.
Yes.
And then you just have like what's best for your kid. Like, you know, every kid is different. So you have to like learn your child. And then it's like you learn them and then they do something different, or they evolve and they grow. And you're like, I just learned that you did this and now you're doing this. So it's like, you know, it's just like being flexible and like going with the flow, but then kind of guide. I guess parenting is just about guiding your children
It's
to, you know, just guiding them to
it's
what is.
but you broke it down brilliantly.
Oh,
Like, I
thank
don't even
you.
know if you, I wish you, well, we got it recorded so you can go back and, blog that, because you really did, like, the way, first of all, the multi dimensions, like, all right, you're coming with, some background knowledge or some past experience, lived experiences, right? And based on the way you were a parent. Then your co-parent is coming with his or her background,
Yeah.
experiences and things that have made them, and things that, even if they're not sound in your world, to him or her, like, that was law. Like, that's what we
Yeah.
did. And
They don't always
then
mix.
it doesn't. But then you bring in the young person who's always changing, like you said, and it becomes very difficult. It is. It's a beautiful struggle.
Yes.
Shout out to Talib Kweli. It's a beautiful struggle raising kids. Hi, Savannah.
Say hi. Say hi. Well, she can't hear you. I guess because I got my AirPods. So she's like,
okay. So you mentioned something, growing up about feeling awkward, being awkward.
Super awkward.
And I find that so interesting. And then even questioning, you didn't say abilities, but you use intellect. You were like, I didn't think
I
that I was
question
smart.
everything.
Yeah.
No, intellect, abilities, all that.
But like, all right, first of all, do you think that was just a part of growing up, just you growing up, it just happened to be your journey? Or do you think that there were external things that kind of led to that?
That's a good question. So I think, just top of mind, I think that was part of growing up. But then I also think that it was through, you know what they say, generational trauma is passed down,
Yes.
So yes, I believe that was a good portion of that too. I'm not saying I had like a traumatic childhood, but there are certain things that like I'm even in therapy for now to this day that I'm like constantly have to work through. You know what I mean? Just because of just how I grew up, and like the things that were taught to me, and how I was taught. Like, it was like, I understand now from like my parents, like they did what they thought was best, and they said things that they thought were best to bring like the best traits out of me, but it didn't always work out like that
way.
You know, like it didn't always work out like that.
Yes.
I know they didn't intend to do that, but it happened.
It goes back to, though, Jelisa, what you talked about in terms of parents. We don't have, like I always say, and my mom used to say to me, you didn't come with instructions. Like, we didn't come with instructions. So,
not at all.
that is a struggle as a parent, and it's a beautiful one, but it is that. So, like, how did you, like, you eventually, you came into your own? I mean, I didn't meet you until you were an eighth grader, a middle school student. But then I knew you from that point all the way up until now, like, all through high school and everything, because I moved over to high school from middle school as a teacher. So we always stayed connected.
Yeah.
And you have a group of friends that will always be near and dear to me. Y'all were always in a group that will always be near and dear to me. So how did you start coming into, like, realizing, or when, should I ask, did you start coming into kind of like a sense of self-confidence? Like, was it earlier in life, or did it just come about?
It was, okay, so I think it's started. It's a funny story. So I have a couple little moments that I can think about right now.
Okay.
So one has to do, I think I was like 16 when I had my first boyfriend. Like, well, my
Okay.
first real boyfriend was like 6 months. It did not count. But when you're that young, you think that, you think that that's like,
That's the world. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the world. Oh my gosh. So, then we're in high school. And the thing was that I lived farther away from school. So that was another reason why I was like, I always felt out of place because I didn't have the same experiences that my friends had. Like, I had to go home. They got to hang out. Like, they have more experiences together, stories they can tell about each other, with each other. So there was always that little insecurity. And then, so basically, when I was like 16, I think I was feeling myself a little bit because there was a time when my first boyfriend, he cheated on me with some girl, and then it was this whole stupid story. She was mad at me, but I'm like, you cheated. It was so stupid. So the whole situation happened. I got cheated on with her. She was mad at me, but then I said, you know what? I'm going to show you that I can get him back from you. So I did, and I was just like, that was one little confidence boost for me. Of course, does it really count? Because these are just high school boys. Who cares? Then,
but it did something for you, though. It did something for you.
It did a little something for your girl. And then I also went to, was it my prom? Yeah, I went to, no, one of his best friends asked me to prom. And I think went asked to senior prom, and I went as a junior. So that was a little confidence boost. I was like, okay, girl, maybe you're not as awkward anymore. We ain't do nothing, FYI, but I went because I was like, I'm going to show you unless you're cheating on me. And then when I got to college, that was like the real, to me, that was like my coming out, like my rebirth. This was like my redo, like my start over. College, it's a fresh slate. Nobody knows me there. I came into college. I was super bubbly and happy. I remember meeting my floor mates, and we had like a special intersection at Rutgers, so we were like pretty close, and we had the Paul Robeson special intersection. So we had like different events together and all these kind of mingling and things like that, and they were like, who is this girl? Where's she come from? Why is she so happy? Why is she so bubbly? Like, they were so confused because these are all girls from they had the EOF experience I didn't have.
All
so I was just coming in there in September, August,
and they've been there in the summer. Yes,
they had been there in the summer. So I was just like, oh, I didn't know anything about EOF. I didn't do enough research before I got to college. But that it was funny. That was funny. And then I don't know. I feel like college really, that whole experience, I learned about people. I learned about myself. I learned how to stand up for myself because I never really did that in high school or in grade school. I don't think I really ever did that. But in college, I learned how to do that. I had a lot of good experiences in college. And that was probably like
that was like the icing on the cake. And then it was like, all right, you
that was
launched
like
from there.
I still, go back and forth, but it wasn't, I just told myself, it was like a decision that I made. I was like, I'm not going to be that little shy. I wasn't shy, but I'm like, I'm not going to be that girl anymore. Like, I'm going to be that girl. I'm not going to be that girl. That was me telling myself that.
So it's funny because it reminds me a lot of Insecure, the show, and it's and I'm listening to you talk, and that's why the characters in that show, Issa especially, like, they're so relatable. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I'm listening to you talk, and it's like, that's the life that she portrays in the show, like you just defined it.
That show is so relatable. Like, minus, I don't say that many curse words, but other than that, like, and some of that stuff, I'm like, y'all going through that in your adult years, like,
yes, that's yes.
Rough.
Yes.
Rough. But it makes sense. Like, some of the feelings, you just know, like, you felt that before in your life.
Yes. Yeah. We all, it's funny because I have a show working on where a group of friends that we grew up together, we're gonna do three. Is it three? It's 3 seasons of that, right? Or is it 4? It's 4. I think it's 4. But we're gonna do an episode from each of the 4 seasons, and we're just going
That's
to kind of break it
cool.
down as friends, and we all graduated together. So we're going to do like a little thing on it because it speaks to so many different generations too. That's what I love about, that show. It speaks to so many generations. So you
That's
go
so
off,
cool.
you leave high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you go off to Rutgers.
Yeah, I went to Rutgers.
And you told us a little bit about those experiences at Rutgers, but what did you major in? What did you end up, going for?
So I went in there and I thought I wanted to do PR. So I wanted to go to New York and do the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, funny story, how I actually chose Rutgers was basically because I was at a Rutgers in Montclair that I was going to go to because I wanted to stay in state. And
Okay.
Montclair had a really good PR program. But when I went there and I saw how small their football field was, I said, oh, I can't do this school. I need a big school. So I went to Rutgers because it was a big school.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a little fish in a big pond. I don't know why, but put your shirt down. So, yes, I went to Rutgers, majored in communication because we didn't have a PR discipline. So I double
Okay.
majored in communication and Africana studies. And yeah, that was
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So, because I remember I brought a group of you back, and it's funny because Anthony was on a little earlier, and he was one of those students that I brought back when I was a principal in Long Branch. And were you still because I wanted some graduates to come back and talk to the students, and I remember we set up a panel. It was cool, like y'all were up there. That was a lot of fun that day. And you were up there. I know Vanessa was up there. Anthony was up there. Brad was, Jared was up there. Was it anyone else? I don't know why I was thinking Kelly. I don't know if Kelly Levy was, but I was thinking it was one more person. I forget. I thought it was one more person.
It probably was about 5 of us, but I forgot.
It was one more. Were you still in college then when you were still in school then?
Yeah. I don't remember if it was like my sophomore, junior, or senior year. Remember what year it was, but I think I was still in college, or maybe I just graduated. I don't remember.
Yeah, because I think I don't know, but I was like, that was so like, in some students from that year that I'm still connected with, they still talk about like that's what kind of pushed me to go to college. That's what like hearing y'all stories. Yeah, it was really, that was a powerful day. That I'll never forget. So all right, you do your thing at Rutgers. You graduate from Rutgers, and then what?
So I graduated from Rutgers in 2010, and then I had a job already with the government, with the because I was in a student program with the government, and then because the economy was still a little shaky, I was like, let me just stay on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea I'd still be there, but I was like, let me just stay on with them. Because it was easier. So it was just easier to get a job, and they paid well. Just entry level, and PR paid like trash entry level, and I would have had to like live in a really, I don't know where I would have had to live. Like, I don't know, I wasn't gonna do that. So I stayed with the government, and I wanted to do like business development, I think, when I first entered, and then a whole bunch of different, like the office that I was with, they actually shut down. Then I went to a different office, which I'm still there now actually.
Wow.
And then we moved to we BRAC'd, so the base realignment program, whatever. They BRAC'd from Fort Monmouth, New Jersey down to Aberdeen, Maryland, and that's actually the start of, I guess, everything else. Because
so that's how you ended up in Maryland.
I graduated in May, moved in October by myself in Maryland by myself. So that was an experience too. That was fun. I had like 3 jobs when I graduated. Like I had to make it work.
So that was 2010 when you moved down to Maryland?
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
So you get down to Maryland, you got a job, which is good. Did they hook you up, set you up with an apartment and everything like that? Or did you have to find all of that stuff?
Yeah, so they gave you money for like the relocation. I had to find my own apartment. The salary, I guess, paid for the apartment, but I said I had another job. Like I worked at Panera Bread after work. I'm always hustling. Like that's one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hustle. Yeah. So I always had even after I graduated, before I moved that summer, I worked at the base, and then I worked also at Toys R Us in the mall, and also at Macy's in the mall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did that.
So it's so funny though, because I remember we were connected, and we probably were connected a lot then, because that's when we were going back and forth to set up the situation with you all coming back to the school.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, it was like, because what I used to do is I was like, you know what? I used to randomly send books to people, right?
Yes,
So I had came across a book, and I don't know why it had your name on it, but I came across a book,
the
and
slight
I was
edge.
like, yes, it was The Slight Edge. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I was like, you know what? This one will be good for Jelisa, right? So I sent it. Do you remember that book?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about that on the podcast because I remember that book. It was, you gave me like the audio tape version. This
Yes,
is like before we
yes,
had Audible because we're
yes.
so old. Before we had Audible, and it was like I listened to it and I was just like, I think I was really surprised at how like drawn to it I was. So I
Yeah.
was like, dang, this is awesome. And it was kind of like my first, I don't know, experience entry into like the world of personal development, because that's what
Mhm.
kind of book it was. And if I remember correctly, the book was mostly talking about like that slight edge that
Yeah.
you have that doesn't really separate. It's like there's not much that separates, a successful person from
Yes.
someone who had a dream and gave it up, or whatever. It's just like
Yes.
doing those little things that
Yes.
are really, really easy to do, but also really, really easy not to do. And that made a
That's
difference
it.
for me. It really, really did. Like I still remember to this day, and I was like, I don't know how many years ago you
That's
gave me that
that's
book.
10 years. That's 10 years ago. That had to be 2010. Because I was still a principal in Long Branch. I remember that because I sent it out to two people, and you were one. I bring it up because the work that you're doing now is slight edge work. It's like it's definitely like little things, but if you do
Mm-hmm.
them enough, like you said, if you do them consistently, consecutively, do these little things, before you know it, like you just take off. Like things just start happening.
Yeah,
And we're so disillusioned. We think, oh, it just happened out of nowhere, like, oh, it's
yeah,
just like a quantum leap. But no, it's these little things. So your journey with the whole like the self-help, with making sure you're taking care of yourself, when did that start? About 10 years ago? Like how did that start? Because I remember following you were one of the early social media people, like,
yeah,
and it was like Facebook or whatever, but you were one of the early social media where you were consistent on social media. I remember that.
yeah.
um so a lot of your progress I was able to watch through social media. So can you just like kind of take us through like how did it all just start? How did you start?
Okay, so I really didn't even intend to be consistent when I started. I think I just enjoyed sharing what I was doing. Like I've always been like a sharer and maybe like an
Mhm.
oversharer, so I gotta watch it sometimes. But like I've always been the kind of person who wants to share something. Like, if a girl asks you like, "Oh, that's a cute outfit," I'm like, "Oh, thanks, girl. I got it from Amazon." Like
Mhm.
I don't care.
Just
I'm
tell
not gonna
everything.
hide it. Yeah, just tell it all. My husband be like, "Girl," and I'm like, sorry, I just talk. We're like the opposite. He don't talk, I talk a lot. So, um, but how it started was, I think, how did it start? So back in 2010, that I moved in October, and then I just like kind of fell into like fitness and stuff. Oh,
Mhm.
you know what happened? We had a girls trip to Vegas. That's what it was.
Okay.
So we had a girls trip to Vegas. I think it was like May 2011 or somewhere around that time. And all my friends I was going with were little skinny minis. Okay, they're little. We call them
Mm.
the minis. They're small. I was never the small girl, but I was never like a big, big.
Uh-huh.
Like you wouldn't consider me plus, but you wouldn't consider me skinny. So I was like in
Mhm.
the middle, and being in the
Uh-huh.
middle is weird because you're just like you don't really have a
You don't fit any,
identity.
yeah.
You're just in the middle. So I feel like I'm always like an in the middle kind of chick. And so I wanted to like, get in shape. So then I started to just do what I used to do in college. Like I used to just like not eat for like a couple weeks
Mm,
before
mm,
I did a couple fashion shows, but just not eat. And
mhm.
then I would just run around the campus. I don't even like to run. Just run around the campus and do cardio. Like a lot of girls would do, like you want to just do, this was before lifting was like a thing.
Yeah.
As it is now on social media. I feel like now it's a lot more known. You got to lift if you want to build muscle and build shape.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what I did. And then after that, I would just like go to the gym after work because I didn't have much to do. It was by myself in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the gym after work. That's how I met a lot of people. A lot of my friends would just go to the gym because we were all young. We were all fresh out of college down in Maryland. Like, let's go hang out at the gym.
Yeah, that's chill.
So it was like a hangout spot. We were working out. And then I remember I would see this one girl in the weight room. It was always one chick in the weight room. And I saw her body and I was like, I want some muscles. Like I started to be like, I want some muscles. Like I could lift, I could do this. And then what's wrong, mama? Here you go, baby. There you go. And then after that, I realized also what happened when I was a cardio bunny. I call myself a cardio bunny. I lost all my shape, and I always had a shape. So I just became a smaller version of myself, and I was just like, there was no shape. Mama, you're killing me, girl. You're killing me. Here. Yes. I realized I didn't want that shape. So I realized I had to figure out how to get the body that I wanted. Obviously naturally, but how can I do this in a way that so then I did a little bit of research and I was like learning about lifting. So I was like, I went on bodybuilding.com, just would download like the workouts because they had workouts on there for free. So I just downloaded them at work, went to the gym after work, did the workouts. And, we were like the only two women in the weight room, me and this other girl. So I didn't want any guys talking to me because they vultures. So I would always come in there with like my hat and then I would just have my little workout, like, in my, and I would just be not my phone and on paper and I would just do it. And then I just liked it. I just started to really like it.
Wow.
And then I learned about nutrition and I was like, oh, that took it up a notch. And then I met a former personal trainer who now was like lifting in that gym, and it just grew from there. Like, we just geek out on nutrition stuff, and like I started eating better, and then I learned my body transformed. I got abs. I was like, where did these come from?
Wow.
And I just started to document it on YouTube. I think YouTube actually back in 2012 might have been my first video because I was like, oh, this is easy. This in theory it's easy. And people knew it could just be so simple. Let me not say easy. It's simple. It's simple. If people just knew it was as simple, they would not have to deal with insecurities and, that health issues, chronic diseases like this. And that was my mind. I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God. So I just took it and I was like, how can I get my message out there? Oh, YouTube, bam. Go on YouTube.
I remember that. And I remember the fitness videos, but I remember the diet ones more. Like I remember like when you were doing meal prep, like you were doing a lot of things.
All kind of stuff.
That now,
back then.
Like, do you still have some of the same following from back then?
I actually do, and I'm thoroughly surprised because your girl fell off a few times. And these people stuck with me. So the thing is that too, I look back on that and I was like, if you would have just stayed consistent, you would be like way more successful in terms of fitness. In my fitness career, right now, you probably could have quit your job and, been doing this full time by now, all kind of things. But still, it's all part of my journey, like my personal journey, and like how it's all working out.
So, all right, in the midst of all of that, right? You have a family, you get married, you have Savannah. And what, like, did you stay in constant motion? Was it like a pitfall and like, all right, I got to get up off the mat? Talk about that. Like,
I was at a really low point after I had Savannah, actually, because before that, I got engaged in 2016, and you're engaged, and I'm like, I had been kind of like not as consistent with my fitness at that point because I competed in 2013. I think it was 2013 for the first time I competed, and then I did it twice in 2014, and then I competed again in 2015. And then I was like, I'm done with competing, hanging my little bikini up, I'm done, blah blah blah. It's not healthy, all this and that. So then I kind of like, you gained weight, and when you're used to seeing your body so small and lean, it kind of messes with your mental. But then you got to kind of work through that because you're like, I know this is healthier. This is healthier for me. pack on the weight, girl. It's okay.
Yeah.
So then I got engaged pretty much after that. And then later on that year, unbeknownst to me, I got pregnant and while planning a wedding. So I got pregnant while planning a wedding. I didn't pick out my dress. I didn't plan on having a baby bump in that dress. That dress I was supposed to be just snatched. So after that, I gave birth. So we got married April, gave birth in August 2017, and I had a C-section, and that was another thing.
Oh
That's
yeah.
longer recovery.
Yeah.
So it was just this whole thing. And I was at a really low point. Like I guess you could call them baby blues, but I think it wasn't postpartum depression, but it was probably more like postpartum anxiety. And I was just anxious about everything. And I'm not an anxious kind of person. Like that's not me. I don't usually worry about things that haven't happened. But after I had her, it just seemed like the stakes were higher. Everything was just higher. It's like, well, why didn't you why isn't your business at $1 million? Like, why are you still here? Why didn't you, all these different things. And then on top of that, she was unplanned. So, it was just like unplanned. And then I didn't even know I was pregnant. So I was like 3 months. So we had 6 months to prepare, plus planning a wedding. And then all the feelings that nobody told me about after pregnancy. And then on top of that, I'm the one who's usually the bubbly, happy one. So no one's really checking on me. They're thinking that I'm okay and that I'm just fine.
Wow.
So it was like, it was a lot. Like it was a lot of feelings. Took a few months.
But that's, you said a lot, and that one part, that bubbly, like when you're the friend that brings all the energy all of the time, people expect, oh, you got that energy, so she's all right. She's all right. Wow. So did you hit a point where you were like, all right, enough is enough? Or was there like an event? Like, how did you start kind of getting back to that on track?
Girl is just stripping. No, there wasn't really quite like one pivotal moment, as I could say. It was like a collection of moments where I was just like my main thing was that I have to be the best I can be for this daughter. Like I have a daughter now. I can't show her a weak mom. I have to be confident. I have to be self-assured. I have to be, able to take care of myself. Not that I didn't have a husband, but it's just like I just needed to do all these things. And I had to show her what it looked like to be confident and successful and positive and healthy and all these things. So there was like a lot of pressure. But what I did to like kind of bring myself out of that moment, out of that postpartum, whatever that was, I just like shared. So I would share like on my social media when I was like actually comfortable enough to share. Like I would share. I would share with my husband because he didn't understand it at first either. And that was another thing where he had only, and I didn't realize, but he came from a family of pretty much all single moms. So it's different when you're used to seeing women just take care of everything. And I had to explain to him, they didn't have a choice. Okay. This means that I have a choice. Okay. You got to get it together. So we had to go through that together. We had to learn each other again as like parents, mom and dad, what that looked like. And I would do something where I would write down, I call them mom wins. So I would just take a notebook. I always keep a notebook, like I have one right here. And I would just write down my mommy wins. So every single day when she was still young, she was still nursing. That was a whole nother thing too. I would just write down if I could do 3 things for myself every single day. I felt like, oh girl, it's a successful day. Because
I like that.
With the newborn, it's like you don't know what's going on. But I was like, if I can like do these, and then I built on them. And those 3 things were really simple. They were super simple. It was brushing my teeth, taking a shower, and doing my eyebrows.
And it's so you still silly, Dilly.
I had to feel like I did something. Like walking around looking crazy.
But that's deep. Like, so you had the idea to like, all right, let me write these 3. There were goals basically. And I like mommy wins. That's cool. I like that. So you would write these 3 things down.
Mm-hmm.
And when you accomplished them, you felt accomplished. Like,
Like, yes.
I did my thing today. I did,
Like
yeah.
mic drop. Day is
And they
done.
seem small, but
Yeah.
in the mommy world,
It's
it's
a
big
lot
stuff.
with the newborn. And
It's big stuff.
I think a lot of times what I learned is that like as moms, we put so much pressure on ourselves and probably parents in general too, but I have the experience of being a mom. So I'm just
Mhm,
like, I just put so much
mhm,
pressure on myself to be this perfect person and to have, smile all the time, even if you don't want to
mhm,
smile. And what was great was that what I did was I did do a lot of research prior to giving birth. So I kind of had an idea that I might go through this.
mhm.
Oh, I'm glad, Morgan. I kind of had an idea that I might go through something like this. So, but I didn't, you don't know until you go through it. So, what I did was, I think that was really good was that I had, really like, I had one solid, like, mommy friend, who was like my girl. Like, I could just FaceTime her. And I remember I just FaceTimed her. I just cried. Like there was no
Yeah,
reason that I just cried. And she just was
yeah,
like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And that's all I needed. I just needed to like release,
yeah.
those feelings and just cry and be able to have like at least one person that you
Mhm,
could just keep it all the way real with and not be
mhm.
judged. Because even my own mom didn't understand.
Yeah,
She was used to just she had two C-sections and she went back to work a few weeks later. Like I don't know how the heck she did that,
yeah, yeah.
but she oh thanks Ken, but she just so she didn't quite understand either. So it's like you might not always have someone in your family or maybe
Mhm.
your mom or someone super that, but you can always find someone. There's always people like there's with social media now, like you could just reach out. There's many mommy groups, there's all kind of communities out there. But you have to be willing to like share your real feelings. um
Mm.
and just identify what kind of people will not judge you for that. So that was good that I did. I had that person before I even gave birth. So that was good. I didn't have to seek that support. I had it.
Yes.
And then another thing that I did that was really good for myself was that I was like, oh, there's no more playing with this business thing. Got to get it together. So I hired a business coach and I was 7 weeks postpartum. And she was also a mom, so she just had, it was just great because I could just share everything. Man, she was so much more than a business coach to me. She was awesome.
It was everything for you. Yeah,
It was everything. She was
yeah.
everything.
So you like you do the mommy wins, which I
Mhm.
think that's something that I love that, and it seems like people in the audience love it. You do
Yeah, it's just
you
three
do the
simple
mommy
things.
wins. Is that what kind of led you to like, all right, I want to do things specifically for busy mothers. I want to show moms who may think I don't have the time or the energy to do 3 things a day or to keep myself in shape or to work out or the is that where that came from or was there more before that?
Man, it was like that was probably part of it, but honestly, it was something that I always kind of wanted to do. I always wanted to talk to moms because even before I had a child, even before I thought about having a child, I knew I wanted to become a mom. So I knew
Mhm,
one of my main motivations for learning health and fitness and understanding this whole thing and how to stay fit and stay healthy was because I always wanted to raise a healthy family. I didn't want
right,
for my kid to have
right.
to get to college and then figure it out. And I
Mhm,
think my parents did a decent job with that. Like my dad would always say, we have to have something green on our plate every day. And so I just had that in my mind. And I don't know, I just always wanted to like raise a healthy family. So even before I had kids, before I even thought about having kids, I just always knew that like I wanted to be able to teach my kids how to be healthy so they could avoid a
mhm.
lot of maybe
Yep.
the body image issues, maybe just health
Yes,
issues that you see a lot of kids are going through now with childhood obesity being on the rise. I
yes,
wanted to have an impact in all of that. And what better impact can you have than like in your own family,
yes,
and just kind of it could be a ripple
yes,
effect. So that
yes.
was one of my main
I
reasons.
I I love that relationship with food, especially, I won't say especially, but I'm gonna speak because, in our Black community, that is a real issue in a lot of our families,
Yeah.
having poor relationships with food.
Hmm.
Um, so having that idea, and I give you props, I give you a lot of credit, like for that to be one of your motivators, I want to raise a healthy family. Like that's so simple, but yet so like complex and it's just deep. Like it's like
I don't know why.
it's deep. Because when you really break that down, obviously we want them to be mentally healthy, but emotionally want them to be healthy. Physically, we want them to be healthy, and it's like, all right, so what is it going to take, for me to do my part in raising a healthy family?
Yeah.
In that, I think that sometimes we can think that that's too hard to do. And that's kind of what I would like for you, if you can kind of get into, like, if you had to say, all right, like you did the three mommy wins, but if you had to say, all right, you want to get on the right track, start with this. Like if you could kind of take us through like small things to start with. I'm a busy mom, I ain't got no time, Jelisa. Really, I really don't. Like you need to like give me, you got 2 minutes to tell me 2 things that I can start doing. And if I do those things enough, I'm going to start seeing results that I can then, keep going and keep going and keep going. What would you like? What kind of advice would you get?
I mean, honestly, everything starts with you. So if there's something that you want to do, you have a desire to do it, that means you gotta get it together. Like I've always told myself, that if I'm gonna be able to raise a healthy family, I gotta be healthy. Like I can't be in a state of disease or, something like that if my goal is to raise a healthy family. So one, you have to believe that you can actually achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. You know what I mean? If you have that desire in you, then it probably means that you should lean into that. You know what I mean? Like explore that, lean into that. But it starts with you, girl. So no matter what you got going on, no matter how busy you are, no matter how many kids you got, it starts with you. And as far as like something tangible to take away, it's just like little simple things. So what I like to do with my clients is that, especially when they come to me, we don't do this whole like overhaul of like your whole entire diet and all that kind of stuff. We do like one simple thing to start off with. So pretty much I will have to ask you like what's going on with you, but if you're a person, let's just say like just focus on one thing. Focus on either the nutrition component or the fitness component. Don't do it all at once, girlfriend. It's just not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. You start to, add an extra vegetable, to your plate each meal. Okay. Oh, it's 3 meals a day is too much for you, girl. Add an extra vegetable in for just dinner. You know what I mean? Just add things in. As far I'm a fan of like replacing as opposed to like eliminating when it comes to food. Because I think that elimination tends to make us crave it even more, or we want it even more. So if you can just replace something that's not so healthy with something that is healthier, which what's healthy is.
Yes.
McDonald's is not it. Popeye, that stuff is not it. All this stuff like in the middle of the grocery store, like in the boxes and all the frozen food. That's not it. It's not it. You know that. You know that. Anybody gonna say they don't know that. So if you just focus on like, I'm gonna eat more vegetables, and as you find, if you actually start to eat more vegetables, you'll find you won't even have room for the extra junk,
So true.
And you don't have to know all the intricacies of nutrition. I don't. Yeah. All I know is that this is healthy. That's not. I don't. Yeah. I've studied it. It goes in one ear. Sometimes it stays in there, then it comes out the other. It depends. You got to keep up with it, but it's not that hard. It can be so simple.
I like that you say. But that's what I like, to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah. I think that. And it's funny because it goes back to that whole slight edge, because when you think you got to do it all at one time,
you get overwhelmed.
Like you go out, you get the workout clothes, like you go to the store, you spend $500. Like
I got this new program, I'm about to do it, and then like 3 weeks in, you're like, okay, I'm not with this anymore. I haven't lost 20 pounds already. This is too much.
Yes. I like
It is
that
too
though. I
much.
I like that though. I like that one thing at a time. And because when I fall off, I usually, because we all go through our peaks and valleys. Like it's like,
For
all right, I'm in a
sure.
good space. But I usually I get back on track by one thing I do. I'll say, okay, I'm gonna eliminate this. But
Yeah.
I like replace. I like how you use that term replace, because that makes me think
Yeah.
differently. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
It's
So
like you don't have to
replace.
give everything up to be healthy. I
Yes.
think people view health and fitness like that and they're like, oh my God, I can't eat like that. I don't want to do that. I could never give up my fried chicken. You don't have to. But
Yeah.
what you need to do is add some more good stuff in there because you can't only eat fried chicken and french fries, for just example, every single day. You know what I mean? And as you find, you start adding more vegetables. Like for example, in my program called Fit Mama Glow Up, what I have the girls do is like I don't have you do the crazy thing. I used to have to weigh my food when I was
Yes. Yeah.
training,
Yep.
track my food, weigh my food. No, that's too much. And nobody got time for that. I don't got time for that right now. So that would be pretty much like setting ourselves up for failure if we thought we were really going to do that, even though it works. But
Mhm.
there's many things that work. There's like 15,000 different ways to get to the same goal, right?
Mm,
So the
I
problem is
like
that
that.
when we start thinking that, we can only get to the goal this one specific way and it doesn't work for us or our lifestyle,
Mhm.
and that's when we start to mess up and we fall off and we take on too much. So you got to take your
Yes.
lifestyle into account, which I think is another reason why people tend to fall off as you get older, or you have more kids, or you have a more stressful
Mhm.
job. Like you're not making your fitness work, your health and your fitness routine, and don't work for your lifestyle no more. Change it up, switch it up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
figure it out.
I listen, I think, wow, you're saying so many things. Like I said, I'm definitely in the market right now, Jelisa. And um, but for real, because like we were talking about, even before we got on air, there's so many stressors right now in our lives, and it can be overwhelming, and you're
Yeah,
like, okay, how do I get back? How do I get myself mentally together? And then, like you said, there's different plans for different things. And there's, you got a stressful job. So you may need to take a certain approach to keeping yourself healthy and working out and things like that. Stressful relationships. Like there's all of these different variables of what brings stress, the fear
yeah,
of sickness that right now that we're dealing with. We're all dealing
mhm,
with that in some form or
yeah,
fashion. That it's just it's heavy, heavy stuff. You talked about this Fit Mama glow up though. Like, so
yeah.
tell us a little bit, like talk to us, because you've mentioned already you work with clients. Tell us a little bit about, what you do in terms of entrepreneurial.
Okay. So right now, that is like my signature program. It's my signature 6-week fat loss program for busy moms and working women. And what it is really just teaching these women like how to keep this whole fitness thing
Mhm.
super simple. It could be so simple. I promise you that. So it's a 6-week program. It's you get like pretty much an online course and you can go through that on your own. Then we have calls each week. I only run this program right now. I'm not running this program. I run this program. The next time will most likely be in December because
Okay.
right now I'm helping my husband out with his business because
Okay.
his business is like taking off. So I'm helping him do some things in his business. So just like like I have these entrepreneurial goals, and at the same time I have other obligations, but it doesn't mean that
Yes.
I can't be an entrepreneur. I just have to learn a new way to do it. So my main thing right now that I'm doing is my Fun Find Fit program, and it's really fun because it's super simple. It's all on Instagram. It's 3 times a week, live workouts that you do. You can do them on your lunch break. Like I do them at
Okay.
12 p.m. Yeah, and I do them on Instagram because I found that like as much as I try to be this person, which I take on all these different kind of programs and stuff. Hold on, mama. Almost done. Um, yes, I just found I'm the most consistent on Instagram. So pretty much it's like the same thing. Like I'm talking to y'all about health and fitness and being consistent in that way and how to make it work for your lifestyle. I had to make my entrepreneur goals work for my lifestyle too. So this is the best way I can still offer my services to people at a super affordable rate. And Fun Find Fit is the way to do it. It's my like, it's a private Instagram account and you just do workouts together 3 times a week live. The replays are always up. People love it. Tomorrow we're doing a dance workout.
Okay, so it's fun, fine.
Yeah, fun, fine, 2 I's, 2 E's. Because you gotta be fine, Fun, fine, fit. It couldn't be regular. It had to be fun, fine, fit. Because we have fun, we get fine, and we be fit.
Okay, wow. Let me I want to get this up so folks can see it. And that's on Instagram. Is that the IG?
Yeah, that's the IG. So it's just fun, fine, 2 I's, 1 N, 2 E's, and then fit. And all you gotta do is hit the link in the bio, subscribe. All the instructions are there, but people always mess up the instructions. So you can't just request to join. You have to hit the link in the bio, actually subscribe. 30-day free subscription is what you get, because I'm generous. And then you just screenshot that and DM that to Fun Find Fit and send in a follow request, and then you're in.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna get that fine.
Yeah, it's like my I don't know, personal gym, I guess. I don't know. It's a fitness classes 3 times a week live, and they're at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't make it live, all you got to do is watch the replay. And I also pop in there like on the stories, and I'll just like give extra little tips, show what I'm eating and stuff like that. It's really fun. We're like, it's brand new. I'm only like 3 weeks in. We're building the community and having a lot of fun with it. And it's really, really easy for me to stay consistent this way. So just 1 N. But this just fit. It's okay.
Oh, it's just fit. Okay.
Yeah, just fit.
I thought it was fitness. Okay.
I had to be a little bite size. Fun, fine, fit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but thank you.
No doubt, because I want to get that. I want to get it up, so at least it lives on, and I want to make sure it's right. So it's fun, fine, fit. Let's see if that's not right. I'll change it because you changing up spellings on me and everything.
I am. So you just put I'm gonna write it down. What?
Like, dude, we can't just spell it like
1, 5.
Oh, all right. 2 I's, 2 I's, and 2 E's. All right.
Yeah, just 1 N. But yeah, like I said, I had to kind of like figure out a way that I could be consistent in my entrepreneurial, in my business, and also be able to serve my audience. So that's what entrepreneurship is too. It's problem solving. So if you kind of approach your health in that way too, it's problem solving. Like bath time? Did you put your own diaper on? Okay.
It's funny, Jelisa, because I just started my business, and and one of the things that I'm trying to do is like, all right, dedicating at least 1 hour, 2 hours a day, doing one thing for my business every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the way to do it.
Yeah, it's hard. And then thinking in terms of, all right, you got a 9 to 5, but then you got a 5 to 9, like,
or a 5 to 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. So, I may be reaching out to you for some advice. I may be reaching out to you some advice on an entrepreneurial tip. So you definitely blessed us, Jelisa. It's one thing that I want to get from you though. That we always like to ask. In terms of if you had to give some advice to your high school self, right? If you had to go back and say, all right, this is the advice I'm gonna give to my high school self, what would that advice be?
The best advice that I think I can give my high school self is, girl, it's gonna be all right. The things that you think are so major now are gonna be so minor, like 6 months from now, a year from now, and that you get to, every day that you're alive, you get to try again. You get to do better. You get to be better like
Mm.
every single day, you know? So if you have that intention, then life is always going to be amazing. Life is always going to be great. And yeah, great things are going to happen to you and for you. And God is always working in your favor, girl. So you can't go wrong.
Love
Don't
it.
trip over the little riffraff. Don't trip, girl. Don't trip. That would be like all my advice to myself because I was tripping.
Yeah, it is some tripping we're never gonna avoid in that age group. Like there's some things we're gonna have to experience, but I think having someone to say that, is deep. Like, because we don't young people don't always have someone to be like, yo, trust me, don't trip.
Like, relax.
Just,
like I used to be in my room feeling like, because I was the older sister and my sister was younger than me, so I didn't have anyone giving me that advice from, like from like a sisterly perspective.
Yes.
So I gave that to my sister and to try to like help to guide her through because I didn't have it. So I think that's another thing that probably led me to social media, was that I'm always trying to give what I feel like I didn't have,
I love it. I love it. Jelisa, we salute you. You are definitely, you've always been family, but now you're family to purpose and practice,
I'm so honored. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we loved having you. Is there anything, before we close out, is there anything that you wanted to say that maybe we didn't get a chance to talk about? Anything you want to say to close out?
Well, I wanted to say thank you for having me, Dr. Ross. It's been a pleasure. It's been
no doubt.
Fun. I really hope that someone took away something, and even one person just took away something good. Oh, you know what I do want to say that I think podcasting is super awesome for is I want to encourage everyone to share their story, because whether you feel like you have a story or not, your story can impact others in a way that you can never imagine, because the things that you think are just so basic and that no one's really going to care about, and like, oh, I can do this, who cares? Oh, I've been through this, who cares? Trust me, somebody out there cares and needs to hear your story. So share your story every chance you get. It's nothing that is too, you just be so surprised where your story can take you too.
You know what you just said, is a great way to close out, sharing your story. There's so many people who I've tried to get on the show and they're like, nah, I can't do, you trust me, you don't want me on, I can't do that. And then they get on and they reach back to me a couple days later and they're like, I want to start this now. I want to start this now. I can't believe, like, it's just crazy, the evolution,
right?
It really, and that was a big reason why I wanted to do something like this, is to give folks opportunities to share their story, So I appreciate that. That was a great way to bring us to closure.
Thank you.
Yes. So to our audience, to our community, thank you for tuning in. Another Thursday. We're going to be at 20 next week, which is crazy growth, since August. We thank our guest again, Jelisa. Make sure you follow Jelisa Smith Coaching. Get there and get on that Fun Fine Fit on IG. I promise I'm gonna get that spelling right. And it's all good. Your former English teacher, I
misspelled the English, so that makes sense. You're not used to seeing it spelled that way.
So we, hopefully everybody, you have a good ending to your week and have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, mentally safe, physically safe. Yeah, take care of yourself, take care of your family. So with that said, peace out. We're signing out. Dr. Rawls is signing off. Jelisa signing off from the Purpose and Practice podcast. We're going to go out with my man, Mr. Encore. Thank you again, Mr. Encore, for this crazy intro and outro music.
I know. I was like, okay.
It's an encore banger. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to Purpose and Practice. Yeah, purpose and practice. Keep your mental sharp. Learn all the tactics. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to Purpose and Practice. Yeah, purpose and practice. Podcast game. He got it mad.